Be curious to learn. Don't be curious to click on random links. You might get random requests from people who are trying to impersonate an actual, a legitimate entity. Elevating that level of vigilance.
Hello, you're watching Teatime Tuesday. I'm Rashan Gidwani. When we think of the future, our finances should be one of the factors that we must consider. Generational wealth, planning for retirement, as well as the financial ease with which we would like to go about our day-to-day lives impacts the way we behave and our relationships with our loved ones. It's the 21st century and we're exposed to scams, cyber threats, and theft, and safeguarding ourselves from them is essential. Joining me to discuss this in greater detail today is Reuben Athaide, the head of Cybersecurity Advisory and DevSecOps at Standard Chartered Bank, Singapore. Hi Reuben, welcome to Teatime Tuesday.
Thanks, good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So good to have you here. So let's dive into the first question. Now, as technology continues to advance in this modern world, protecting our digital finances can be challenging. How can one get financial cybersecurity education and stay informed without getting lost in the technical jargon?
Right now, we live in a world where everything is online and always on, so it's a bit of a challenge. But the first thing to do probably is to understand where are the potential attacks that could come from, right? So you got to obviously be careful. When you had kids and they were small and you told them don't speak to strangers, and now when you're online, it's like, okay, you might get random requests from people who are trying to manipulate or they're trying to impersonate a legitimate entity, offer you something, which then if you click on it, it's going to cause some problems. So obviously be careful. Be curious to learn. Don't be curious to click on random links or take scam messages. So you got to be careful about that, understand those things in social engineering, and stay educated. So listen to webinars, podcasts. I find that YouTube is a great learning platform. It's free. There are other platforms as well that you could use. Just make sure that it's a credible source and go with that and stay informed and stay vigilant.
But we're still very worried about our online banking or investment accounts, right? Would you recommend any strategies then to protect ourselves from cyber threats? And how effective do you think these strategies are?
Elevating that level of vigilance. First off, make sure that you are in a secure place. You are not in the open where someone can eavesdrop perhaps and look over your shoulder and look at what you're doing and the personal data that you're keying in to log into a system, right? Simple things like maybe putting a privacy screen on your mobile device or on your laptop. Make sure that there's not too many curious people around that can look in. The other thing is, with mobile, you can do banking or you can do your investment anywhere, right? But I try to make sure that when I'm doing something like that, it's always on my own carrier network. I'm not like logging into some free Wi-Fi, especially when you're traveling, right? Because you don't know what infiltration can come through there. And the other thing is with software updates. You basically make sure that your devices are up to date and you have all the latest software updates so that nothing can infiltrate in. If you're using other sort of software, gaming, whatever, make sure it's, again, credible source. Because it's not just about the financial institution per se that you are interacting with on your investments or your banking or what have you. But it's also that, you could get something coming in through some other means of other software that you're using, then that infiltrates your device, right? So make sure that your software is up to date. Reason being, there's always some security fixes in these software updates, and it's important for you to be able to have that on your device and protect yourself. The next thing would be that if you have to use passwords, make sure that it is a good, strong password. You're not reusing the same password for multiple accounts. That's a no-no, definitely. You rotate your passwords periodically. You never use the same one again. It's better to use like a password manager. I use a password manager to get random passwords generated, and there are so many passwords to so many things, right? So you make sure it's stored. And then most institutions have multi-factor authentication. So with that, there's the who you are or what you are. Maybe it's biometrics, or maybe it's a random token number, and then it's the your usual ID and password. I mean, if you are using a portal, if you will, of an institution that doesn't have that switched on, or if it's an option, make sure you do switch it on and use it. Most places it is default. And it's not only, again, for your financial institutions, but also for other things that you might do in social media or what have you. It's good to have two-factor minimum authentication switched on. So combining all these things, and then it's important to back up your data so that it's in a safe place and you can access it in case something happens.
So it's a combination of all these things.
It's a combination of all these things is what you need to be doing. When you were offline in the past, you had all your documents saved somewhere. Likewise, you keep your online things as well, backed up somewhere, and then you don't write things down, but put it in a password manager if you will. Yeah.
Follow these tips and you should be all right.
You should be all right.
You mentioned checking whether websites are official or not. How does one know? How does one verify a website?
Maybe you're picking a wealth broker or something online. Make sure that it's a reputable firm that it takes security seriously, right? They're using the digital certificates. The encryption on their site would be valid.
So this leads me to my next question. Investing and banking online can be so convenient, but how do you balance convenience and security? Are there any tips for identifying cyber threats while using digital finance?
Obviously, you want to be checking your accounts often. Make sure that nothing has changed. There could be a potential for identity theft. So make sure that your personal data, you're not just leaving it around the place, that you know where it is. Careful with documents. We also need to be careful with online, right? Because online is more long-lived than the document sitting in a closet somewhere. So make sure that your personal data you're sharing on social media, because that could give somebody a tip on how to launch an attack on you.
Do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share based on your expertise?
In World War II, the pilots used this method before they decide whether they want to fire or not, was observe, orient, decide, act. So it's good, especially online, to observe your surroundings, get oriented with it, think before you click, then you decide, and then you act, right? So I think it's important to do that. Anything that you do online is long-lived, so be vigilant about what you do. Careful as you go ahead.
Yeah, be responsible.
Absolutely.
Be conscious of what you're doing. Don't just click on any website.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And especially, if you get some SMS messages and all this other stuff, you gotta be careful about that.
Most of the time, it's spam or some sort of.
Yeah, most of the time it is, right? You can change the settings on your phone to make sure that you're only getting stuff from recognized contacts, right? And so you're not,
You're not talking to strangers online, essentially.
Exactly.
Strangers aren't contacting you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good tips,
Yeah.
Reuben. Thank you so much for your time.
No,
I really
pleasure.
appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, it was good to be here.
Thanks.
Thanks.
It's clear that safeguarding our financial well-being in today's digital age is more important than ever. Always be vigilant and use effective strategies to secure your online banking and investment accounts. And most importantly, never sacrifice security for convenience. Stay tuned for our next episode, which will feature more insights and analysis. I'm Roshan Gidwani, and you've been watching Teatime Tuesday. Please like and subscribe for more. See you again.